What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, November 22nd. It was a cold one. You guys gotta let me know where you're at, what you guys are dealing with. This has been the warmest of the polar vortex that's come through. I think today, I think we were floating around like 8, 9, 10 degrees, but wind chill dipping down into low negative teens, I think. My house is a bit drafty. I'm in a townhouse. I like the townhouse. It's nice. I dig it. Location, a little seedy, but that's what gets me a great price on it. Um, what I will say is that the main floor, bit drafty, a little drafty. Upstairs, not so bad. Main floor, little drafty. That's my rap name. So, guys, I appreciate you hanging out and checking in. I have some updates for you. I'm going to let you know where I'm going to be heading next, all that good stuff. We do have some interesting topics tonight. As you saw in the preview thumbnail, we will be talking about the AI update that's going on. Out of all the things that people are talking about in the political sphere, in the news, the AI one kind of got glossed over. So we'll talk about that. But then James will be joining later. He is dealing with some cold front issues himself, getting some vehicles started. So he'll be joining later tonight. What's up, Flower? What's happening? Hopefully you're staying warm where you're at. You're not too much farther out. I'm trying to think. You're probably dealing with the same weather I got. Luckily, we're a little bit more prepared in Northeast Ohio for cold, as opposed to some of our friends down in the southern part of the states. So obviously, we wish the best for them. Hopefully, all those folks that are used to gloating about how warm it is are able to stay safe, stay warm, do what they got to do. But guys, the thing I'm most excited about, something I've been working on for a while, the prototypes came in. So if you're hanging out in the chat, if you want to see these, we're working on the card game. Those are the backs of the cards. And we're hanging in there. We're doing all right. I luckily do pretty well with the cold. Once it gets down into the negative like teens, 20s with the wind chill, I stopped for gas today. I had to do some last minute running around before I take off for this weekend. I pulled in a gas station. There's two cruisers at the pumps, and I'm thinking sometimes cops will do that. You know, they're starting their shift. They got to go get gas, what have you. As I'm getting gas, and I'm starting to realize how much the wind is cutting through my hoodie, two more cruisers roll in. I'm starting to think, is there something going on in the gas station I need to be worried about? Next thing you know, mind you, I've pumped about 8 or 9 gallons of gas at this time. Next thing you know, fire department rolls in, and I'm starting to worry because I'm in the middle of a gas station, and the fire trucks just showed up with the lights on, sirens blaring. Couldn't have been too bad because the police were still there. So if there was any sort of risk of explosion, I felt like my side was probably the safest to be on. But that's my long answer to how I'm doing. Let's show off some of these cards. I got these. I already have some notes that I've got to fix for the playtest series, but check these out. That's the back of them. So every card's going to look like that on the back. And then little character card there. It's all backwards because of, cameras. Got some summoning cards. My buddy Jerry's helping me out with this. Very excited about this project. Some item cards. Some weapon cards. So I'm going to get this over to him, I believe, next week because our schedules tend to not work out so well. But he's got some buddies. They're going to play test it. They're going to come up with a laundry list of notes. I already have a few myself. And then we're going to play test the hell out of it. We're going to come up with sort of a rough draft part 2. So we'll update a lot of the cards. And we'll do a final draft. playtesting all the way. And my goal is probably not this June, but next June, be launching a new graphic novel series with a card game, hopefully at Origins down there in Columbus, as well as check out that dude. That's one of my favorite cards. One of the things I decided on, because I want this to be okay for a younger audience, is all of the death energy stuff is going to be dark energy instead. I need to be talking about death with potentially younger audience. It'll just be dark stuff. Check out that one. Super spooky. So super excited about this. Got the whole deck here. Hopefully, I'd say by June, I think we'll have play tested enough, have enough notes, have enough time to fix everything, get these out to people, start play testing with what will be sort of the beta test. And then from there, make all those final revisions, send them out, and do the final print. So, you guys going to any cons this weekend? Anybody going out to any conventions? I will be leaving first thing tomorrow morning to drive out to Philadelphia for the Villain Arts Tattoo Convention. I'm hoping, I know last year the economy was hitting Philadelphia harder than it was the year before. Everyone I talked to, spare one person, was down significantly last year from the year prior. I was down at both the tattoo show and the Comic-Con. I was down about 50%. So, changing some strategy for this time. Hoping this one works out better. But we'll see. It's about 6 hours out. I've got a buddy. You guys might have seen him in my Instagram from previous shows where he's helped out. But my buddy Brandon, he's going to be helping me out this weekend. It's just kind of become a tradition that he comes out to help me out at Philly. It's not the busiest show, but definitely makes it a lot easier when you got somebody there helping you out. Got to check out. There's a couple of restaurants that we always hit up. But the deal with the tattoo shows, though, they get done kind of late. What's up, James? Get your car figured out, man. Challenge with the tattoo shows is that they don't get out until usually 11 o'clock at night. Now, granted, they don't require you to stay at your booth the whole time. They don't care as much as like a Comic-Con would. But Philly's one of those shows I kind of want to stay for a number of reasons as late as I can. Gotcha, man. Well, be safe driving, dude. Glad you got it figured out. Batteries have gone up. If that's what you were dealing with, was a car battery. Holy hell, man. My van battery died on me a couple months ago. We had a particularly cold weekend. Went out to start the van on Monday, and yep, she was dead. I'm used to paying like $140, $150 for a battery. It was $250, and that was their cheapest one. Well, depending on, I guess, what size battery you need, it'd be cheaper. But yeah, 160 is what I was used to pay. So maybe they're still not. Maybe I'm just not used to buying bigger batteries. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's just assume I don't know what I'm talking about. That will make this whole show a lot easier. So yeah, I get asked about the tattoo shows all the time from comic artists, folks that are trying to fill out their schedules. I cannot, in good faith, recommend them to everyone. They are not for everyone. It's a different audience. It's a different vibe. They're longer hours. You don't get out till super late, especially on Sunday. Show doesn't get done till late. And again, they don't mind if you leave early. At the same time, some of these convention halls, like you can't get out unless you go through the dock. So like Philly, You can technically get out certain ways by carting stuff out, but it takes way longer. You're better off waiting for the ramp. Um, so yeah, there's some times where it's going to make you have to get an extra hotel stay, or you're going to be sleeping at a rest stop, something like that. If you don't think I do well with what? I think you'll do great, buddy. So, here's what I'll say: if you're going to do a tattoo show, number one, you got to have measured patience. The first people that show up, typically all 3 days, are not people that are there to see artists. They're there to get tattoos. I've had some shows like on Friday where I don't get my first sale till like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. Which, if you're at a Comic-Con, you're getting ready to like pack up for the night. If it's Fan Expo, it goes to late. So you've already had a pretty decent day, kind of know where you stand. You got a couple more hours to burn. Tattoo shows, no, they're going to 11, which means all those people that came in that wanted to get something quick, or they wanted to get locked in, they want to look around and find the right artist. They're not stopping to look. And if they are, that's all they're going to do is look, because they are getting tattoos. Yeah, it's interesting. She would probably do fine with the 3D printed stuff, but this last Minneapolis show, I'm starting to see that last year the tattoo shows were getting saturated with vendors. This year, that Minneapolis show, that's the most non-tattoo exhibitors I've seen at a tattoo convention. There were a number of folks that I'd seen there that were selling like the anime blankets, that were even selling like Funko Pop stuff. It's starting to turn into mini Comic-Con. Now, if you're at Comic-Cons, there's plenty of money in a room. Tattoo shows, it's a more limited amount of money in the room. The amount of people that are just looking for art, the more vendors there are, the more we're not competing. Like, I'm not trying to steal money from other people or try to, I shouldn't say steal. But you know what I mean. The more artist vendors, such as comic book artists, print artists, anime artists, more of that's at the convention. At a tattoo show, it will siphon money out of the room faster. And there's sometimes where they will put similar vendors across from each other. I did a show, I don't think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, where they had mistakenly put 4 print artists on a corner at an intersection, and I was 2 aisles behind that. That was one of the worst shows I've ever done. So if you're thinking about doing it, if you're thinking about doing tattoo shows, Villain Arts is the best tattoo convention out there. They have a well-run machine. They're super laid back. They don't really care what you do. You pay for your space. You can do whatever you want with it. It includes electricity. At the same time, here's what I'll say. The only shows that I have done poorly at have been tattoo conventions. I have had some solid straight down the middle shows there. I've had some good payday shows with tattoo conventions. If it's your first time doing one, I would just go in with very moderate expectations. And understand that they have people that follow. When I say people, they have exhibitors and artists that follow this convention coast to coast. So it may not even be preferential treatment. It could just be that people have been grandfathered in. So when they're doing the floor plans, they tend to copy last year's floor plan for this year. So chances are, if someone got put in a terrible spot last year, but they signed up for next year, they're already asking, can you put me in a better spot? So it's really hard to get out of those sort of back corner areas. It took me the better part of a year of really terrible spots. And I did probably 14 tattoo shows that year. It took me about a year of that before they started putting me into better spots. And at some of the better conventions that they do, it took me 2.5 to 3 years to finally start getting premium spots. If you're just getting in now, it's going to be a tough fight. That being said, results will vary. You can try it out. I've had some friends that tried some last year. Some they said they did okay, and some they said they didn't break even. So when you're working 12-hour days and you've got an 8-hour drive there and back, results will vary. Yo, what's up, Chris? What's good, man? Yeah, we're talking about villains. I just get asked all the time because I'll post that I do those tattoo shows. To put in perspective, number one, I would not have gotten the jump start on doing this full time without villain. Coming out of COVID, those shows were money. Now that things are kind of cooled down, with the amount of people that are trying to go get tattoos, the amount of people that have money that they've saved up during COVID, that's pretty much done. It's been done. I am now doing, I believe, only 4 shows this year, where I used to do more like 14, 15, 16. So do with that information what you will. Results will vary, but that's the truth about any convention, right? Some people have shows where they do really great, where others don't. And even from year to the next, sometimes things just don't hit right. So all that to say, I'm going back to Philly this year. I am hoping, praying, putting all that positive energy out there that this year will be better. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I don't know what the weather's going to do. We're going to give it a try. We're going to see what happens. But are you going to be somewhere this weekend, Chris? Are you doing any shows, man? So while we're getting that going, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and I'm going to show it off one more time because we have a few more people that join in the room. But cards, the prototype cards are in for the card game. Super excited. Hopefully we'll have some info for you this in the next couple weeks, how it's going, how the play testing's going. It's got that off time. That was last weekend? Yeah, I didn't work last week. Well, studio time, right? Hibernation mode. Next show will be MegaCon. I will be at MegaCon as well. First time doing it. That's kind of to give you guys where my headspace is. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm very excited about them. So I've got Villain Arts this weekend. Following weekend is 2-day show in Big Lick. And then from there, I'm driving straight down to MegaCon. So I got to do the hotel game where you're doing hotel laundry and all that good stuff. Make sure you pack lots of extra clothes and all that good things. I think I lucked out. Our good buddy Ben with Rego Creations, he had been texting me early on about some good hotel locations there. This was back in like November. Ben is like my intel guy. Like if I'm running like a spy mission and there's a guy behind a keyboard somewhere like sending me info, Ben is on it, man. Like he's a good dude that he's got my back, right? Well, at the time, I'm like, I want pretty into credit card debt, getting stuff booked for next year. I took on some extra shows. I actually expanded a couple to double booths. Like, I need to have some money come in before I can drop what's probably going to be like $600, $700, $800 on a hotel. So I waited. And last week, I'm like, I can't wait any longer. It's coming up quick. Actually, it might have been 2 weeks ago. At any rate, most people that are booking MegaCon have already booked their hotels a while ago. There is a resort that I've checked. It is not I'm not getting catfished, right? It's not one of those things that looks great on the website, and then you get there and it's like, ugh, there's bed bugs everywhere. Legit resort. I can't remember the name of it. It's within walking distance, and it was like $120 a night. They were running a promo. So thank the Expedia gods for shining down upon me. I will have a walking distance resort that I'm staying at. I'm sure there's all kinds of hidden fees baked in, like parking and everything else. Why wouldn't they? Um, but I'm anxious about it though. I'm still waiting on. I ordered about uh, a grand worth of skateboards. I don't know if they're going to be in time. I have Plan B though. I think Plan B might be better than the skateboards. I don't have any up here. I've got one I was working on that I messed up. I'll show you. Hey, there he is. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I should have booked that. I should have been. Let it be said here, and this is for public record. If Ben tells you about a sweet deal and that you should do it, don't wait. Don't be like me. Because that was the deal I should have done back in November. But I was looking at the bank balance and I'm like, I don't know how we're going to make this work right now. I was trying not to move savings around. You know how it is. You don't want to dip into savings if you don't have to. So I am staying probably not as close as you are. And I am definitely spending more per night at $120 a night. But yeah, it's the parking is where these hotels are getting you now. Because they're legally required to post the price included with taxes. There was a law that got passed at some point, or an executive. It was executive orders. Let's not get on that. But parking is not required to be shown in that price. They don't have to post that they charge for parking. But here is, and thank you, Flower. I do appreciate that. I am so excited about these. I might just start making card games just because I think they're neat. These things are, I just put them upside down. Look at those cards. Look at, oh, punk rock pixie. All kinds of cool stuff. Yeah. I don't even know what that means. Ferris wheel? Or is that the name of like an area? I will probably be toast. I'm going to try to have fun, but we'll see. We will see. But here's Plan B. If the skateboards don't come in, I think I might have found. I don't know if I'm going to go all in on this yet or not, but I think I'm going to start moving this way. Is doing. I messed this one up, but doing the canvas wraps. So I have a printer just back there. It's hard to see. Printer, big printer, prints on canvas. And I taught myself how to do gallery wrap on frames. It's working out good. Takes a lot of extra effort. I've been even though it's kind of drafty in the house, I've literally been in shorts and a t-shirt, just sweating, stapling all these things, stretching all these canvases. It's been a bit of a workout, which I probably need, which is fine. But I got some bigger frames, so what they are charging online versus what I can do for myself. Even if I sell a couple of these, amazing. But I have no idea where I'm at. I know it's a resort. It's less than half a mile away. It says it's like less than 10-minute walk. So we'll see how it goes. Plus, I won't be lugging around 30 pounds of batteries, seeing as they've been outlawed for safety reasons. So guys, let's talk about it. I am not going to make this a political show. I am more interested in the AI side of things because, as you know, AI affects what we do and soon to be all walks of life. There was a previous stream where I was showing the numbers that people were requesting. And a long story short is that our government is heavily invested with no signs of turning back in AI. It's under the premise that it's a national security concern. It's a competition with other markets concern, other countries concern, all that good stuff. Um, and of all the things that are going on in the news, which we're not going to dive into, because it's already heated enough on social media, there was a clip. It was maybe 5 minutes long. I'm not going to play it because the clip I do have is about an hour, where they talk about everything under the sun except for what they had the press meeting over. But for about 5 minutes, they had folks from OpenAI. What was the other one? I think it's called SoftBank or something like that. And they were talking about this $500 billion investment in AI. And previously, just what like Department of Defense had been requesting and that sort of things, they were averaging around 230 billion is what they were requesting. Now, this is an outside company that is making this investment, but it's interesting. The government is opening up land for it. And apparently they're opening up parcels of land that are owned by like Department of Energy, the DoD, that sort of thing. It's a very strange, weird thing to happen so quickly, and it actually started about a week ago when Biden was still in office. We'll talk about that in just a second. I want to catch up with the chat here real quick. I'll try it. We'll see how it goes. If I get a nasty email saying that I'm a fire hazard, like what was that, Philly? They're threatening to take people's battery banks away, confiscate them. Thanks for hanging out, Flower. We'll see ya. Have fun. If you post where you're going to be, if people want to join, go feel free to post that in the chat. So there were two major executive orders underneath Biden that are pretty important. One was the AI safety executive order, and then the other that no one really heard about, no one was really talking about, is an executive order that ensures that there's plenty of power for these AI data centers, which is interesting. Energy has been always a hot topic with what we do, how we make our energy, how we stay efficient, how we stay clean, where we can put it, what we can use, all that good stuff. When it comes to the things that we want to do as a society with greener emissions, greener vehicles, more public transit, and then AI, the amount of energy that it takes, people don't like to talk about that as much. We saw some of those issues with, from what I saw anyways, in California, when they had started making stricter mandates about deadlines to have, all electric vehicles and all that good stuff. And then they were asking people not to charge their cars overnight or during certain times of the day or whatever it might have been. I don't really remember. Guys, at the end of the day, I don't know what I'm talking about. I know enough to be dangerous to myself. That's about it. Energy has been an issue. Now, technically, our power plants, from what I know, can generate a lot more energy. It's just not cost effective to do that. Different reasons, but like even up along the lake, up in the east of Cleveland area, up towards Perry, they have a nuclear power plant that has only been running on one cooling stack for the longest time. I believe that was for efficiency, but it's like it could technically do more. And that's, at the end of the day, when you have private sector energy, it's about that money. Let's save it. I get it. I want to save money too. That's why I'm stapling together my own frames and wrap frames and all that good stuff. So here's the interesting bit. I'm going to see if I can share a screen here. Let me move some stuff around. Let me just do a little slide there. I'll share some stuff with you guys. And let's see where to go. Now they moved everything around. So one of these executive orders stayed in place, the other got axed. And I tend to be a little suspicious as to what's going on. But the executive order that got struck down over here on the left side of the screen, let me just make this bigger for now. Never mind all the ads flying in. The one of the orders that got axed was for the safety measures. Now, granted, I don't know how much these companies were actually going out of their way to take down notes as to what was safe, what was not safe, security risks, that sort of thing. But technically, they were supposed to go through a reporting structure if they were finding anything that could cause issues to chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, or cybersecurity risks. Which, when you're talking about AI, it's like it's still a lot of uncharted territory. We don't really know what all we're getting into. We don't know all the dangers. We know some issues, especially with data sets and that sort of thing. But as it turns out, like this is a bipartisan thing. Like everyone voted on this. I should say they voted on this. There are other things with AI that they had voted on. But the problem is there's no clear-cut legislation when it comes to safety measures. Now, why would they not vote on safety protocols when it comes to AI? It's that money. They gotta get that money. Ooh, that good money, because NVIDIA is in bed with all of this. And if they can grow it unchecked, they all get lots of money. Now, granted, if I was smart and investing in stuff, I could probably follow all that they're doing with this AI stuff and make lots of that money. But this safety, what do they call this? The AI safety, whatever it is, where they report all the security and safety risks. It got axed. It gone. Very strange. That got axed. Not sure why that got axed. It's probably that legal red tape that was slowing everything down. But this one stayed in place. This is to ensure the power for the AI data centers. Now, it's interesting. This came in January 14th. President Joe Biden signed an executive order on Tuesday to provide federal support to address massive energy needs for fast-growing advanced artificial intelligence data centers, the White House said. Order calls for leasing federal sites owned by the defense and energy departments to host gigawatt-scale AI data centers and new clean power facilities to address that enormous power need on a short time frame. Meaning, figure out how we're going to get that energy fast. Which could just be routing stuff to the grid. I doubt they're going to build brand new power plants right away to fix it. Yeah. Funny how all that changed too, right? That's an interesting one. Let's see. Order also requires companies tapping federal land for AI data centers to purchase an appropriate share of American-made semiconductors. Number of purchase. So this is scratch my back, scratch yours. If you're going to buy into if you're going to be using the federal land, you need to buy American-made semiconductors, which I can appreciate that. Keep the business in the country. Sure, why not? Let's see. So all that to say, my thought process is if Biden wrote that when he was expecting like this much land to be used and this much to go on with buying up land or utilizing land for AI stuff, and then we have OpenAI, SoftBank, all downstream from like NVIDIA and even Microsoft to come in, and they're like, we're going to do $500 billion worth of development. I think it was like 7 or 8 data centers that they're making. They're all like 500,000 square feet. Was that the intent when this order was written? And are there any restrictions on how much energy is required to be diverted for these data centers? It's almost like the way I see it in my mind, and I could be completely wrong, is there was one show where I had put out Halloween candy in a little bucket, trying to be festive, trying to give back to the community, walking around. And yeah, take a couple pieces of candy. I don't care. Whatever. It was a smaller show too. So it's like, yeah, if you want a few, take a few. This girl comes up. She's like, oh, is this free candy? I said, yeah, you can have some. She reaches in instantly, like, handful. She's like this many? I said, I feel like that's a bit too much. She shoves it into her purse and grabs another giant handful, smiles, knowing that she's taking advantage of the system. And she says, there's no sign that said I couldn't. Puts it in her purse and walks away. These people exist. So the conspiratorial side of my brain says that if you had sort of a carte blanche open door to, number one, use Department of Energy and Department of Defense land to build all these places on the condition that you buy semiconductors from the U.S., percent of them anyways, and that there's some more or less guarantee that you're going to get energy provided to you, that door just got kicked way open. So what's that mean for us? What does that mean for us? I see you in the back room, James. We'll get you here in just a second while I'm done ranting. What's that mean for us? AI is not going away. It's not going away. And more studios, artists, businesses, you name it, are justifying where they can use AI for, what they can use it for, and the likes. How do you feel about that? Let me know in the chat. I will get you on here, James. Everyone, welcome James to the platform. James, woo! What's up, brother?
What's going on?
You are muted, maybe?
Oh, am I? Is my thing not working?
Maybe it might be me. I don't.
No, it's probably me.
No, I think well, maybe. Try it again.
Test.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that.
Excellent. Welcome to the show, friend. You get the vehicle all squared away?
I still got to put the battery in, but I'm not to traverse with that in the morning when it's hopefully a little bit warmer.
I heard it's supposed to start warming up overnight.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
It was a buddy of mine, Brandon, that's helping out this weekend. He used to be into landscaping and snow plowing, so he was always really on key with like what the weather was doing and all that good stuff. So he doesn't do that now, but he already had the satellites pulled up. He's like, yeah, I think it's going to be, probably about 30 when we show up in Philly. I'm like, that's going to feel like spring, dude.
Yeah, in comparison to what we've had. Yeah.
So was her vehicle at least in a safe spot?
I mean, it's in the driveway. Yeah.
Gotcha.
The driveway. Yeah, I mean, we got hit with I don't know, like 5-degree weather. It was like what, Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday we had 5-degree weather. She went to go start the car today because we were like, oh, we got to take it in tomorrow. And she's like, oh, the battery's dead. It's not killing over at all. I'm like, probably froze.
Yeah,
probably froze.
It's that time of year, man.
Yep.
That's Minneapolis. Like I was saying last week, when I showed up in Minneapolis, it was actually warmer than when I left the Cleveland area.
Oh, wow.
Which is strange. That usually never happens. That was not the case that Sunday, though. For loadout, it was negative 36 real feel.
Oh, God.
So imagine you have to push, a giant cart full of all your stuff, all your belongings across a hotel into a elevator. You're sweating, feeling all manly and musky and everything. And then you step out. The way that they do it there is you have to load in or load out through their parking garage.
Yeah.
You get to your floor, the doors open up, and you're just hit with all that sweat is just like crystallized.
Frozen. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You got like nosicles dripping down your nose instantly.
The beard freezes, man.
Oh, yeah.
It literally gets crunchy.
That's hilarious.
I've been thinking about chopping part of it, like a good deal of it off.
Starting
over a little bit.
I had to trim. It was getting a little crazy.
No.
I like to keep it short. I don't like the big beards, but that's a personal preference.
Yeah. It's I actually cut off quite a bit probably a good inch and a half,
Oh wow,
maybe 2 months ago, and it's already back to where it was.
that's crazy.
Yeah, so
Mine
I'm
doesn't grow
like,
that fast, thankfully.
what's that?
So mine does not grow that fast, thankfully.
It's my Penn Dutch Amish heritage. It's very thick down here for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think I might go to like there. We'll see.
Eh,
I might wait till it's a little bit warmer though.
yeah. Use the beard for warmth while you need it. There
It's
you go.
kind of nice.
It
It's
is.
kind of
Yeah,
nice.
I know. I did that one time a couple years ago where I like actually went completely clean shaven and it was cold out. And I'm like,
Dude, it stings, man.
how do people stay warm? My face is freezing.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like you have like these new like nerves that you're like they've never felt cold in forever long, you know?
Dude, that was previous job. It was very military inspired.
Yeah.
Their dress code was unless you work in like the warehouse where you're not customer facing,
Mhm.
clean shaven.
Mm.
They would allow mustaches because it's a lot easier to regulate a mustache than a beard.
Yeah.
But that's sort of a holdover from like military stuff.
Yeah.
Um, during my last year or two there, maybe a little bit longer, they started allowing goatees.
Hmm.
And that's an interesting dynamic when you've got a little bit of protection and then clean shaven, just getting hit with all that Arctic blast, but your mouth is fine. It's very strange what a little bit of
Yeah.
hair will do.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm sure this is the quality content you all tuned in for.
You guys want to talk about our beards today?
Yeah, facial hair grooming and such. But yeah, I was just going on my little rant about the AI announcement. Did you see that in the news?
Yeah. It's very from what I've read, anyways, it's very interesting. Um, yeah, I had read that Trump actually signed an executive action to appeal something that Biden put in place to keep an eye on AI and stuff.
It was all the
Um,
security reporting stuff.
yeah, so yeah, interesting. I still
Yeah.
think I'm not like ready to like completely embrace AI in any real form. I mean, how many movies have we seen?
I
Right?
am
And we
more
talked
because of
about
that executive order getting canceled. I'm even more wary of it.
it. Well,
Like
right. Yeah, dude,
this has just been a very bizarre turn. Like Ben said it best. What was it? TikTok is bad, while Skynet equals good.
yeah.
But is
Right.
TikTok bad anymore? I don't know. I think they're back, but maybe they're gone.
TikTok. So many people aren't paying close enough attention to Trump when he talks about this. And this is I'm not pro or anti-Trump, and you know, and I won't go deep into this,
Yeah,
but
we're not going to get into politics. It's fine.
yeah. But the thing that people seem to be missing is so Trump has temporarily appealed the ban, right? It gives them 90 days. It only gives them 90 days. They're not back. It only gives them 90 days to settle things out. So he specifically said, he's like, well, the company's worth nothing if US bans it. It's worth trillions of dollars if the US doesn't ban it. So
Right.
he's trying to make this sale happen is what's going on. I don't
Yeah.
think TikTok wants to sell. I don't think ByteDance or whatever wants to sell that part of TikTok, even if it means, you know, losing the US market. I think we're gonna run into like this weird TikTok cold war here over the next 90 days, where it's like, well, will they sell? Will they not sell? Is the U.S. going to force them to sell? Are they going to stay around? Because it impacts thousands and thousands of people who run their businesses through TikTok.
Yeah.
It is a business, and it's actually the only platform some of these people are even able to get any kind of traction on.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too that a lot of the stuff that these other sites, including YouTube, are trying to do is everything's trying to mimic TikTok because it's been so wildly successful. And Chris, I saw your comment, by the way.
Is a sight to behold.
Yeah, that was a good part of my adult life was having to be clean shaven. I did not enjoy it.
That's funny. I feel like
Yeah.
I know the picture you're talking about. I think I've seen it.
Yeah, they're not great. They're not great. The beard definitely helps, kind of, especially when you're not working with much up here. Having something.
Yeah. I don't know. You never
No.
know.
When I was more in shape, I looked more like the Hitman.
Agent 47.
Mhm.
Nice. There you go.
So that was good. Once I got more of a desk job
Yeah.
and everything starts to fill out, look a little less like the Hitman and more like the BLT man. I don't know. That wasn't a good one, but you get the idea. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, the all these different uh, with what you were saying with him repealing the safety part of it,
Yeah.
those countermeasures, like there needs to be something.
Yeah.
There needs to be some kind of regulation, although the opposite is happening. They're cutting back a lot of regulations all over the place to expedite making money. Unfortunately, the thing that feeds these machines is data. And the only thing did you listen to the announcement, the $500 billion?
No, I only I didn't actually listen to it. I just saw what I quickly read on some news reports.
Yeah. So there wasn't much. It was about a 5-minute ordeal. They had was it Sam Altman and a couple other dudes from some other companies. And I'd say it was about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna drop $500 billion. It's all going to go on federal land that's being opened up. By the way, we're not going to talk about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Except we're going to dangle the carrot. The only thing that they talked about was healthcare. And the thing that they dangled was we foresee that your healthcare provider would be able to run your blood info through a machine that could tap into the AI that could see what's going on with your blood, see that you have potentially this going on with cancer, this going on with that. And then they could effectively 3D print a vaccine specifically for you, mRNA, for everything under the sun. Mostly, they talked about cancer. Now, I don't know if the technical term for treatment of cancer is a vaccine. I thought vaccine were for viruses,
Yeah.
which is already alarming that I think we're using the wrong terms for. But anyway, I'm sure somebody will figure it out.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
So that was the carrot dangled, and then they also tacked on a statement that it already kind of irritates me when people do this because it sounds good up front. It sounds like you're helping people out, but how's it going to play out in real life? The comment that they made is they brought up a doctor in a more disadvantaged area or even on a reservation
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't have access to all the modern medicine advantages that you could have, like Cleveland. Cleveland has a Cleveland Clinic. It's world class.
Mm-hmm.
Like you may not be able to physically make it out there, but now you're using the same tools and the same software that they're using. You just tap right into it.
Yeah.
Well, the challenge is, do they have the actual physical tools at their location? And can anyone afford to actually use those tools to treat their patients?
Right.
I feel like we're putting very complicated band-aids, trademark band-aids, on problems that have been in our healthcare forever. And somehow this spills into comics. Because what OpenAI is more known for is like Dolly and ChatGPT and all the stuff that people are using for writing and even using artwork, clip art. Like people, instead of using clip art packages, they're using AI now.
Yep.
But no one wants to regulate it. No one wants to make laws because as soon as you bottleneck it, how do you make that money?
Yep.
Any thoughts?
It's tough. It's a scary time. We could be witnessing the beginning of the Matrix. Or we could, I don't know, it's really tough to say because I do think AI can help in a lot of ways, right? I think when used properly in a proper way, then I think it could be useful.
Yeah.
I don't like the self-aware AI. I don't think that's, and I think I think really to the AI part of, artificial intelligence, right? Is how do you define intelligence, and how far does that go? And that's a really deep rooted question that
Yeah.
I think we still kind of need to answer, because some of these bots, they're not really AI, they're not artificial intelligence.
Right.
They don't feel, they can collect data and they can kind of reflect on that data, but that's all they do with it, right? There's no like serious contemplation of how this data affects this, and it goes so far. It's only as smart as the person that programmed them, right?
Right.
Until we get to a point where someone has programmed something that has become smarter than the programmer. You know what I mean?
Right.
When it
Or
can develop things faster than the programmer can program it,
yeah.
then I think it gets out of hand real quickly.
Yeah, you get those runaway scripts and all that.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't know what all like if we were to go sit down in the Oval Office or in one of these skiffs where they sit everybody down and talk about stuff behind closed doors with all the cell phones, and lock boxes.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what all they plan on hooking this AI up to,
Yeah.
because, like you're saying, there's a company. I believe the guy that runs it. I believe his name is Lucky Palmer.
Sounds familiar.
He was one of the top dogs with coming up with, I think it was the Oculus Rift. I think that was his thing.
Yeah.
It got purchased and he started a company. They kicked him out. They said like, "Hey, thanks for your invention. We'll see ya."
Yeah. Later,
Um,
dude.
and I mean, he's an innocent billionaire.
Yeah.
Uh, he started up his own drone defense company.
Hmm.
It's wild. And they have videos all over YouTube. Like when you hear about like defense companies, you think like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. You don't really ever see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a blip in the news. Like these guys are putting stuff all over YouTube.
Hmm.
Um, and they'll talk about how it's like AI powered.
Yeah.
But it's not really AI. They're
Yeah.
using different algorithms, machine learning, and all that good stuff.
Right.
You can train it off of data sets. It can be way smarter than laser guided stuff and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's not autonomous intelligence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's where it gets scary once we get to that point. But I find it very interesting. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't think people are grasping the scope, and that's the downside of um you know being in the mindset of a business person, is that, oh, this is a way to make money, let's utilize it. I think sometimes we go too far when we're in that mindset of, it will make money and I can make money, but should I make money this way?
No.
Is there repercussions to this? Who is this going to affect? Right.
No.
And I don't know. I do think, again, I kind of circle back. I do think it could be used for a lot of good things. I think like medical fields and stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
So let's
I
talk
don't know.
about medical field real quick then.
Yeah.
Because this is my concern with the medical field. I had to deal with this quite a bit with company I was with. We did a lot of hard drive destruction and paper shredding,
Mm-hmm.
like industrial levels. Actually,
Yeah.
a pretty cool job. But we had to be very mindful of like HIPAA laws.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we want to get into healthcare, that means you need a bunch of health information.
Yep.
Where are you getting this health information?
But yeah, from the person, right? I mean,
Yeah.
right?
Now,
Yeah.
granted, I'm sure there's a lot of people. Well, you need a database, right? You need a
Yeah.
database of info. And already we're at a point where if there's an update on my phone or if there's an update on the computer, gives you terms and conditions, and we just say, ha ha ha, okay,
Mm.
accept. Like, what
Yeah.
else are you gonna do, right?
Right. Right.
Um, actually surprised the guy at the Apple store a few years back. I was buying a phone and he handed me a little thing to like swipe my card and sign.
Yeah.
And I just started swiping through the terms and conditions, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
I'm
I'm like, just
like,
taking a look, dude. And he's like, "No one ever does that. That's weird." Like,
yeah, let's normalize this a little bit more. Yeah,
but
I don't I don't
But
think
what are we gonna do?
I don't think any times of terms and conditions should be set down in a way that you can just press the OK button and be done with it. I still think that's sketchy. Like that whole Disney thing that happened,
Oh
where they're
yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna throw this lawsuit out because well, you signed up for Disney Plus," and it's like, what? What do you mean I
that's
signed up for Disney
insane.
Plus so I can't sue you now? Like
No,
that's ridiculous. Um,
yeah,
yeah, it should have to like literally like I don't know inform you or train you on the terms and conditions because people are not lawyers. They're not gonna sit there and read for an hour to see what they're accepting.
no.
But yeah, dude, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man.
So with the whole talking about the TikTok thing, where it could be worth trillions or it could be worth nothing.
Yeah,
Um, to us, clicking OK and accepting terms and conditions means very little. Like, I just need a thing. I need a
yeah,
thing.
right.
Okay, click.
Yep.
But to these companies, it's worth billions, sometimes trillions of dollars.
Mhm.
And collectively, like, yeah, if we were going to get paid, like a dividend, it'd be pennies.
Yeah,
Or like, there's people that, like, I have a buddy that I used to work with back in the shredding days that he has an oil well on his property and he has a cell tower on his property. If he doesn't work, his stuff's pretty much paid for. The dividends he gets off that oil well and the fact that the cell tower pays him like a monthly stipend, plus he gets free Verizon.
yeah.
Um, like we're just signing this stuff away.
Mhm.
And we're not thinking twice about it because like, well, AI is the future and we got to do it before China does. So like
Yeah,
I'm calling BS. I'm
yeah,
feeling like everyone is steamrolling it. Everyone's saying it like it's inevitable. Pandora's box is open.
yeah,
And we're just like giving away all of our info, giving away all of our hard work, and we're getting nothing
yeah.
unless you use it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to kinda talk about as a country is and maybe I'm misinformed and I don't maybe we do have this, but we need to actually have a part of government where it is technology and science where that stuff gets regulated there. Because your buddy down the street, knows, Joe Schmo knows Trump and he knows a couple of guys in office and he's like talks about how cool this is going to be and he's got a penny in it or whatever and he thinks it'll be great and he talks about all the pros and none of the cons. Well, of course, oh, let me look into this. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. I'm not saying that's what happened, but
Well,
I am
the
saying that some of these guys aren't young enough to understand the entire concept to the point where it's like, oh, okay, wow, ooh, maybe that's scary. You know what I mean?
no.
Um, but
Well,
yeah,
and it's I can appreciate the notion of uh removing barriers, removing legal red tape. I
mhm,
think in a lot of cases, like where my dad used to live, he was like in they call it the Bermuda Triangle. It
mm,
was two counties ran up next to each other, and there was a couple townships, and
yeah,
they were on the one parcel of land
mhm.
that no one could agree. Like, oh, you got to go to so and so for a building permit. You got to go.
I have
So I
something
mean,
like that.
yeah, I mean, he would waste hours and hours of his life trying to chase down, and every time it was a different runaround. Um, and you look at these wildfires that are going on in California. I just heard that there's another flare up somewhere. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh God.
Um, but the concern now is that like all these people that need to rebuild from literal ashes, the amount of legal red tape they have to go through to get a building permit out there, like good luck.
Yeah,
Unless they do some sort of, again, like executive action or executive order or whatever the hell you call it.
yeah,
Um, you're beholden to the process, and screw you, like get in line.
yeah. Right.
To a certain point, I can appreciate regulation. At the same time, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I think we need to have these. We need to have better experts in the field. And again, maybe we do, and we just aren't aware of them. But I think we definitely need to have better experts in the field that are able to like guide us in a better direction and keep an eye on the way things are going.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I don't want to see us veer into this territory of where things are happening. I mean, You've what's that movie? If you've heard of
Oh
I think it's called the
yeah, Minority
Minority
Report.
Report.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they have like these people that are hooked up, right? And they're like the oracles, and they basically tell the future, and the police go and kill this guy. Who's to say AI can't be used for that, right?
Well, they're trying to.
Right. I
That
mean,
was
they even kind of touched on that in Captain America too. Like they were like, "Oh, this giant ship is gonna just instantly strike down people who potentially are gonna be bad guys." You know what I mean?
yeah.
Based on the algorithms that have been fed it. I mean, that actually is something that could happen.
Oh, it's
and
already been happening. I mean,
yeah,
that was what was it? The Anarchist Cookbook, along with several other books, were flagged in the Dewey Decimal System. So, like, when you would get these books out at libraries, like you could get flagged, and
yeah,
like FBI could go investigate you.
yeah.
Like, the
That's
stuff's been going on forever. It's just, we talk about like curing cancer. We've been talking about curing cancer as long as I've been alive.
yeah. And so
And as advanced as we are, and as miraculous as some treatments have been, we're now trusting these couple of random guys that are talking about vaccinating cancer, which already is like, what?
yeah,
And you guys let me know in the chat, like, is that the correct term? Like, can you vaccinate cancer? Because I was
yeah,
pretty sure vaccinations were for viruses only. Could be wrong. But they're going to talk about that, and on the back end, they could be doing all kinds of other stuff. And the
yeah,
experts, who knows if the experts are even in the room to talk about it? The only thing that they know is that if you open a 500,000 square mile facility in 7 or 8 different places, and you get all those NVIDIA chips in there, get that money. Get that money, man.
They're gonna be mining Bitcoin.
Well, it's the stocks, man. Have you looked at NVIDIA's stocks?
Not this week.
I haven't looked at them
We should
recently.
keep an eye on it though.
But if you look at since I believe it was when that whole thing was going on with China, was it China and Tibet? Because is it Tibet that has all the Taiwan
probably, yeah. It sounds
not Tibet, free Tibet. Taiwan has,
yeah, I don't know.
whoever makes the chips.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, again, I don't know anything. Don't believe anything I'm saying, folks.
We're just spouting out of our butts here.
Pretty much. Taiwan. Thank you, Chris. Our chat for the rescue. So ever since then, and they started working with NVIDIA, their stocks went through the roof.
Yeah.
And I think the last I saw, again, I'm probably making up the numbers. I think back then it was like $60 a share or something like that. It's like $450 a share now.
Oh, wow.
I could be completely wrong. Yeah, there we go. With the semiconductors. You got it.
I could tell you how much is the share right now. Give me a second.
Go for it. So unfortunately, I think when it comes to the AI stuff, all the experts are letting the private sector be the experts on this, and then they're just waiting back to say, like, where do we put our chips?
Yeah. It's 104. Well, NVIDIA is 145. Wow. A share right now.
Okay.
I don't know
how much
semiconductor is.
How much was it 5 years ago for their stock?
Let me see.
I think my dyslexia got me on that one because I said 450. Oh, the stock also split 10-1. Chris is saying Chris knows more about what's going on with NVIDIA.
Yeah, I didn't know about the split.
Yeah,
I actually just invested in NVIDIA finally this year when it was at a low point. So yeah, that makes sense. I made money.
Hey, there you go. Might as well jump on it. I was
$10. Woo.
Dude, when they were first talking about with COVID about like Moderna and Pfizer getting those private contracts, as soon as they broke that in the news, I'm like, I should dump every dime I have into these two companies. And I didn't.
Yeah.
I would have been literally a millionaire.
Oof. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. There's so many of those instances, man. I actually owned a Bitcoin. I owned Bitcoin once when it was first starting out, and people were like, what is this ridiculousness? And I'm like, I'm gonna try mining a Bitcoin, and I mined 1.004 Bitcoin. That was when it was easy to mine.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, that was like 12 computers ago. I don't have that no more.
Yeah. Hey. Is the 400 a share, is that in reference to Nvidia, Chris, or is that something else? Yeah, the whole Bitcoin thing, dude. So talking about like Minority Report and people like seeing the future and stuff. I had a moment one morning.
Uh-oh. Premonitions.
I'm 25% psychic.
Okay.
I took a test.
Oh, okay.
It was on Facebook, but I took a test. I'm 25% psychic.
Academy.
Yeah. I had this dream. It was very vivid. And all it was this neon glowing sign in gold that said Bitcoin. And they say you're allegedly not able to read stuff in your dreams. I can sometimes read stuff in my dreams. It very clearly said Bitcoin. I wake up and I'm like, is that a sign? Is that a premonition?
Yeah.
And I looked at the news and I looked at the stocks, and it was like 13,000, something like that. And it had taken a big hit from like 22,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe this is like a don't chase the neon dream thing,
Yeah.
Not all that glitters is gold kind of thing.
Bro.
It was that day. That day, I think it was Japan or maybe one of the other countries that they started to accept Bitcoin as like accepted currency.
Yeah.
And it shot to like $30,000. If I had bought it that morning, I would have damn near tripled my money.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
25% psychic, not enough to be reliable. That's my problem.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, man. And putting your money in that kind of stuff is hella tough. Because I mean, how many times have we seen Bitcoin go from, I don't know, years ago it was like it went up to 8,000 and then it plummeted down like a K. And then it was like, then it was like 24,000 and then it plummeted down to 8. And then it was like, but yeah, so it's tough. Like, I'm kind of waiting for the next little bit of a bubble to pop, put a little bit of money back into it. I mean, not that I can put much into it because it's so much now, but yeah, dude. But the problem is no one actually knows what the algorithm is that is keeping track of like how much there is and like, so it's really like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a very interesting time to be looking at money right now, I will say, but yeah.
Well, and they especially someone made the comment, I don't know if it's Trump or someone that was in his circle, were making comments about the US has never been more serious about adopting a federal digital coin.
Yeah.
And who knows if they're going to tap into like a Bitcoin thing? I don't know how you would even do that.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I've understood is that they're trying to switch to a completely digital currency. They would probably make their own.
No.
I mean, it's just like
you almost have to.
You wouldn't want to throw out the US dollar for no reason, unless you were going to make lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I don't. Too many people are don't want that to happen because then every single thing that you do, man, government's got taps on you.
Yep.
Every single thing you buy, they're gonna know. Oh, you didn't claim that $5,000 you spent. Where did that go? Where did that come from? Who
that's
gave
the thing
that
is, we aren't going to see that scrutiny unless you're in a court of law. What we're going to see is the convenience of no longer do you have to be afraid that you're doing your taxes incorrectly. No longer do you have to pay a bunch of money to have someone do your taxes for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about getting audited. Plus, that 80,000 some odd IRS agents that we just hired, great news. We're saving a ton of money not having to pay for them because it's all automated now. It just comes right out.
Yeah.
That's the future.
Yeah.
And we are suckers for convenience. We really are.
Oh, yeah.
Until one day.
Easier and more difficult at the exact same time.
Yeah. Well, and then like right or wrong, however you want to look at it, I don't care. But like the Canadians with the trucker movement, when they were doing all the trucker protests and they started shutting down people's bank accounts, like no faster way to do that than a digital currency.
Yeah.
Like money's turned off. Or you can only buy essentials now.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't like where we are at. I don't trust the people that have the keys. I have not trusted our government ever. But we're moving full steam ahead. Well, that's the thing, man. You might be able to accept whiskey, but I don't know about cash. If they move to a full digital currency and they say, Federal Reserve, it's been nice doing business. No more cash. Your cash can be exchanged at your local federal digital whatever. And they'll probably kind of like they do on taxes, where like I forget what they call it, but they have a spot where you can claim earned cash regardless of how you earned it. You can still claim like I made $30,000 selling crystal. You know, like they don't care. Like they won't prosecute you. They just want that tax money, right?
How funny would that be? You know, I paid taxes on that. And why are you putting me in jail? I pay my taxes. Well, sure, it's still legal. Still legal.
That's I think it's just called like income other. And it's
Yeah.
so if they do a raid on your house and they find that you've got bags of money and you didn't report it ever,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
So do your taxes, friends. And
Yeah, I gotta do mine.
so do I.
Not excited. Not excited at all.
No.
We're gonna be in a very, very different scenario than we've ever been. So this will be interesting.
So you're gonna be paying this time.
I don't know. I hope not. But I mean, we've invested more into my wife's business last year than she made, so I'm hoping not. Hoping
No.
we're still gonna get money, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna be playing catch up this year. I don't know. Every year I feel like I've got money set aside for taxes, and then tax season comes around. I'm like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I know.
yeah.
Yeah, last year I literally waited till the last week to do my taxes. I ended up going to H&R Block. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do this and get it over with. Oh, of course, I thought that our situation last year was more difficult than it was, but because we weren't technically selling things yet, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna begin to get into any sort of tax advice on this show. Talk to an expert.
Yeah. Oh no, this is Go see your tax professional if you need tax advice.
That's like the number one thing that, like, for people that really want to get into doing, art full time is like, how do you do your own business? More so on the tax side. And good luck getting a straight answer from anybody. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I still don't have all that figured out, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you sent me. I'm going to pull this up here for the last portion of the show here. So I'm probably going to cut this off at 9 so I can finish getting stuff packed up for tomorrow because I got to roll out.
Rock on.
Not super early, but early enough that it's going to cause myself issues if I don't get a good night's sleep. You sent me this video a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
About Inkwell. I'm not super familiar with Inkwell. You told me he's a published artist. He's done some cards and stuff.
Yeah, he's worked on some cards for the Disney Lorcana set. He's done some other work in other areas I'm not too familiar with. I think he hasn't 100% talked about a lot of the stuff he's worked on just because of NDAs and stuff. But very, very, very cool guy. He's got a lot of really nice content. Not that we're trying to promote him, but yeah, no, he did a really good job with this video. Albeit it's tough because he only really quick recap on this is he collected data from a bunch of people, but he only collected the data from people who watch his streams, right? So if you're not watching his streams, like he didn't collect that information of like how much do you make per shows and what percentage of are you making from shows versus out not doing shows, et cetera, right? So the data set's limited, but it's big enough that you can kind of get a picture
Yeah.
of the breakdown of being an artist at conventions and what the average and stuff is. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of a nice video the way he does it. Maybe he'll do
Yeah.
an update version of it next year or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I was looking through the chat down below, the different comments on there, and there's a lot of people asking for different questions for different data.
Yeah.
But yeah, over 900 artists had taken his survey, and we're not going to watch the whole video because of the ads.
Yeah, ads. You gotta get that premium, bro.
I just do the if I can't skip it, I just do the click on the eye and hit block.
Oh yeah. There you go.
It works great.
It does.
And it doesn't cost me anything other than a few seconds.
I know. I got the free trial for the next 2 months for YouTube.
There you go.
Yeah.
So guys, I do recommend, especially because we do have a lot of folks in here that do the convention scene. I do recommend checking this out sometime. I haven't watched the full thing. I kind of jumped around just to see what kind of questions he's asking.
Yeah, it's a good watch.
But yeah, out of the 900 some odd folks, we have questions ranging from just like general information as to, are you full-time, part-time, how much you make per year, what your costs are, as far as location goes, do you drive to most of your shows, that sort of thing. International artist stuff I wasn't as interested in.
Yeah.
If you have helpers, if you guys want to look at any of these in particular, feel free to shout it out in the chat. How many events do you do a year? What kind of fan art do you do? Do you do mostly fan art, mostly your own stuff? Do you do not safe for work stuff? Let's see. What kind of stuff are you providing? Are you doing prints? Are you doing keychains? Would you say you're happy with the amount of money you're making? Were there any of these that you saw, James, that really jumped out at you that you want to touch base on?
The big thing that I'm recalling off the top of my head right now, I probably should have rewatched it. The big thing that stuck out to me was the average income that these artists at shows made was about $35,700 a year, which, according to U.S. data, apparently is the average across the United States, which is it's around the average income across the United States, which I find awful. I will say awful. Not something he talked about in this video, but something that I observed, and I was kind of mind blown. That I mean, that there are people living in that range. I mean, I'm blessed with how everything that we have, and amen, right? But yeah, it's hard to think. I mean, I'm sure, right? I live in New York. The taxes are outrageous here. I'm sure there are areas where the taxes aren't as crazy, and maybe you can afford to live on less. But I don't think $34,000 you definitely could, like, maybe to live on yourself, live just by yourself, feeding yourself, maybe eating ramen noodles most of the time.
Right. You ain't doing much for fun unless you like drawing a lot.
Yeah, it's awful. But that was the big takeaway. But there's the pros and cons of this is that's the average, right? So that could mean, if someone had $100, that means someone probably had $125,000 a year they made at shows, right? So
well, they break it down here. The challenging thing here is that I don't know if they break this down into actual income. It's strange. I don't think the term here should be income. I could be getting my financial terms. It should be revenue, I believe.
Yeah.
Because income, unless I'm mistaken, feel free to correct me in the chat. Income would be like what you were taking home in your paycheck.
Yeah.
So revenue, I believe, would be the more correct term here, especially before expenses.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to gauge here. I think he does have, for the general stats, I think he does have like how much are you spending per show.
Yeah.
How
much does it cost per show? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, I think if it's just me, right, and I pretend that like my wife isn't going to a show with me, um, it's about I say it's about $800 to $1,000 we pay per show. Some
Easy.
shows are on the little lower end of that, or a little bit less than that, depending on whatever. But the shows that we have to travel to, that's about the average for me.
Yeah. So it seems like, and there's a lot of people spending a lot of money on their production cost.
Yeah, I mean, you see, yeah, you got people.
Holy hell.
Yep,
All right. So
fifty percent
roughly,
more.
um, call half the people out there spending around 20 to 30%. So let's just take that number 20%. Let's just say 20% of what you make is going into the cost of your production. That would mean, if you said 35,000, then that means 7 grand of that is going right into your expenses.
Yep.
So that's 6 or 7 shows a year, which is probably what they're saying on here, which means that, hell, if you're pocketing an extra 20 some odd $1,000 that you can put on top of your full-time gig,
Yeah,
it's
that'd
not
be
that's not a
nice.
bad side hustle.
I definitely don't make that, but that would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I do what 6 or 7 shows a year,
Yeah.
and I mean, the trend is going upwards because I have more. I'm doing more, but yes,
Yeah.
it
Well, the
gets
interesting thing would be, um, I don't want to click around all over here because we'll just start showing more ads. Um, what the percent of vendors versus like artist alley people are in there. I know that he has that at some point. Um,
yes,
but again, like if you guys want to see the whole video, I will do my best to post this in the chat for you. So you
yeah,
guys can go check it out later. Um, kind of see where you stack up. That's the hard part with this business is there you go, it's in the chat. Um, there's not like an art boss you can go to talk about like, hey, am I doing good? Am I not doing good? Like you really
yeah,
only have the people around you to gauge how you're doing. And then you feel like you're getting tugged in different directions. Like, wow, the gal that was sitting next to me, she had keychains. I don't have any keychains. Should I be doing keychains? Looks like she sold a lot of keychains. And next thing you know, you got 5,000 things at your table and you don't know what's working for you anymore.
yeah, yep, yep,
Um, but I'll tell you, like, there are guys in the business who I have met, um, that upon meeting them have no problem spitting out how much they make a year or per show, and I'm sure it's doable. I'm not making that kind of money.
yeah. Inkwell himself in
Yeah,
one of his videos, he said, in 2022, I think he made 220,000. I think. Give me plus or minus a little bit of that.
them.
But that's not just conventions. That's conventions, online, any other means as a as a what's the word I'm looking for? As an artist who promotes himself, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all revenue streams coming in.
right, right.
Yeah,
So it's doable. It's a lot of work. And for him, right? For him, he has the niche. He has created himself a niche for his product. He's created himself something that matches with everything he does. Everything is unified. It's actually he, the setup is really nice. It's not even
them.
anything super impressive, but he goes to these big shows and he breaks 10 to 15K, right? Like, so, I think it takes time to tune into what works for you
Yeah,
and, what's going to sell well for you. But I think having that theme with your setup and having that theme with what you do helps a lot,
yeah.
because you become instantly recognizable then, right?
You
So
got to have your marketing down pat.
yeah,
Like the longer it takes someone to look at your booth and figure out what you're selling and what you're doing, they're already walking past it.
right.
Now the interesting with his booth, I don't know if he has. I'll just kind of see if he's got a picture of his booth. I'm sure he does. Um, I just, it's not a very big booth. Like there's some of these that looks like he's doing artist like
Yeah.
6-foot artist alley tables, and he's saying that he's making anywhere from like $8,000 to $20,000 at a show. And I'm like, are you selling crack out of that booth, dude? Like, what
Yeah,
are you
dude.
selling, man?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
crazy. It is crazy. I I I I have not figured out. I would love to see him at a show and kind of gauge that a little bit better.
yeah,
That's one thing that he doesn't talk a ton about on his shows. I mean, he shows his booth all the time.
right.
Uh, but yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. So here's his booth.
Oh yeah, here you
And
go.
for the most part, it looks like he's just selling prints.
Yeah,
He's got some
he's got
bags
prints.
here for $70.
He's got game mats. He does.
These are
Um,
looks like these are $35 each. And now
uh,
we're already walking down the
which
aisle.
is premium, man. That's a premium price for prints.
Well, the trick is that I've learned is everybody's doing these like buy two get one deals.
Yeah,
Which I think for general merch is fine. When you're talking prints, though, um, I find it better to work backwards from how much you want your average, call it average revenue per sale.
yeah,
So if I want, if I'm currently only getting $30 a person per sale on average, and I want to bump that up to 60, I need a deal that's $60.
yeah.
If that's a buy two get one, that means I'm doing two prints for $30 each, $60 plus one for free.
Hmm.
That doesn't sound very appealing. But
Yeah.
if I do 5 prints for 60 or 4 prints for 60, then it's like, whoa, you start doing math. You're like, oh, that's only like, it's like 13, $14 a print.
Yeah,
That's cheaper than that guy. That guy's doing $25 a print. You have to buy 2. You only get 3,
right.
with the buy 2, get 1. That's with prints in particular. That seems to be what works the best.
Yeah. Yeah, my issue I've been trying to do that a little bit more as well. And my issue with that is and this is kind of a me problem really. My only issue with that is I don't have enough things for people to be interested in, right? Like they're like, "Oh, I like this, but you only have this and this." And your deal is 5. I only really want 3, right? So
Yeah. What can you do for me?
right.
Yeah.
So it's funny, but I mean, eventually I'll get there. I'll have way more stuff on my wall, but
Yeah. Well, and there's a certain point where it all just becomes noise,
right,
and
right.
people get a little bamboozled while they're standing there.
Yep.
For me, it's I want to whatever's on my table is what I want to push the most of.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris here says 100%. I don't want you to buy one. My bread and butter are my 4-packs. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you. In my opinion, it's like I don't want the customer to feel bad that they're only buying one. I want them to feel good, like I'm getting a great deal. I'm getting a lot of art. I'm helping out an artist that's doing this full time.
Yeah.
And it is a win-win.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's all about doing those like a 4-pack or a 5-pack and theming it out and making it too good to pass up.
Yep.
Because even if they really just want the 2 prints, they get the whole bundle for 5 for what other people are charging.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It is interesting to see the like full-time convention artists versus the median income. I think this is what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
So I'm curious though, the way that he asked this question, if these artists are figuring in their expenses or not.
Right. Yeah.
Because
You don't know. Yeah. How closely do people really keep track of their books too? Right. Is another.
there's so many people that are just winging it.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my first shows early on, mind you, I came from a very corporate background where we had to do forecasting and talk about numbers all the time.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy, one of these tattoo shows, and he's like, "Hey, how'd that last Comic Con do for us? Think about doing it." I think it was like Indie PopCon or something, which I don't do that one anymore for reasons.
Mhm.
I was like, profit margin wise, I'm like, revenue less, profit margin more. Profit margin I made the same as I did at a villain show.
Hmm.
He's like, I don't care about profit margin. How much did you make? I'm like how much did I sell? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, you can only really gauge success with how much it costs you to be there.
Yeah.
He's
right.
like, yeah, I don't have time for that, man. Like, just how much money did you make? I don't see him at shows anymore.
Yeah. He
He
probably stressed himself out because he
he
didn't
did.
realize he was spending more than he was making.
He did. Unfortunately.
Yikes.
Let's take a look at a couple here, and maybe we can get some interaction from the chat for the guys that are doing this. What were some of the good questions here? Let's just click through. Oh my goodness, I really do need to
Lots of
just get
ads.
premium.
Wow.
Well, it's like the more you click around on a video that's getting a lot of views and a lot of traction,
Yeah.
pack it full of. Are you comfortable to exhibit at a show alone or without help?
This was one of those. You know what? And he in another video, in another video, he talked about his expenses, and like one of the lines was like $4,000 for helper. I'm like, who the hell? How much money are you making that you can afford $4,000 for a helper for the weekend? That's outrageous.
You gotta be making some cash, man.
Yeah, dude, that's outrageous. And can you imagine a helper? Like, I just made $4,000 for helping sell stuff all weekend. I didn't have to do any of the work.
Now, was it a helper or was it a proxy running a show for him?
So he listed it as like helper.
Okay.
Right? Which I think like he's got that like I don't know how he incorporates that because I'm pretty sure it's that girl that's in a lot of his videos. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, to just be able to like, here's $4,000 for helping me out this weekend is insane to me. Like even my wife is like, a couple $100, you know what I mean? Like I could see that definitely. Like if it was a really good weekend, but yeah, like a lot of us can't afford to do that, right?
No.
Like, I'm thankful that my wife helps, when she can. I mean, now she runs her own show, so I'm kind of on my own again, but you know what I mean? Yeah, it's tough.
Well, I know that for a lot of guys that use proxies, where they've got somebody else running their booth for them somewhere else, so they can do multiple shows at a time. For a lot of them, it's either like a guaranteed minimum plus commission, or it's just a % split down the middle, and they will negotiate if expenses are taken out before, or if there's a per diem that they get. $4,000's a decent chunk, man.
Yeah, dude, I would love to be his helper. I would give up doing art and help him every weekend. I don't care. Dude, I'll do art during the week, but I'm not helping him. Well, how do you guys feel in the chat about proxies though? I personally, if I go to a show and I want to meet an artist, I want to meet the artist. I don't want to talk to some random dude that no offense, I know you've kind of done this before, but I personally I don't think it should be allowed.
I've only done proxies on a couple occasions. The one time it was an exhibit. My whole thing is like, if it's an exhibitor booth, it's like all gloves are off. You can sell whatever you want, do whatever you want.
Right.
Whatever.
Who cares behind your booth? Right.
Yeah. If your own little like mini corporation that you're running, fine, have at it.
Yeah.
If you're Artist Alley, it's supposed to be the artist.
Right.
There are off chances that you're sick or you do get double booked or what have you, where it's like just an honest thing where it's like, well, shit, now what do we do? It's I think it's acceptable every now and then.
Yeah.
But to have like a proxy go in your stead to be in Artist Alley.
Yeah.
I know there's a couple of guys that it's a routine thing. And it's far be it for me to get in the way of them making money. At the same time, it's like I will make comments on the side of some of them, like, so when are you gonna start running the show? When are you gonna be here? Oh, bro, I'm always double booked. I'm like, yeah, you gonna get an exhibitor table next time? Like, I will make little comments like that because I know they're gaming the system. But yeah, it kind of is what it is. Chris says, doesn't like it. I'm the artist and I feel I need to be on site to talk about my art. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
he's enjoying himself. Good for you.
I'm on number 2 as well. So
nice.
I'm a stout guy. I can't say I recommend this one. I know I had a long time ago. The Shoots Obsidian Stout. It's a little too hoppy for me.
Oh, okay.
But I bought a 12-pack or 6-pack of it for $12. So I'm on the hook to drink it now. So
I have a fridge full of alcohol I'll never drink.
why is that?
Well, I have parties, people bring over their alcohol, I never take it, I never finish them, and you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that is usually the scenario. But I only drink when we're having a party, and
Yeah.
I plan it about a month in advance because I'm pretty much constantly on a diet despite this big old belly of mine.
It's my the AI overlords have driven me to drink.
Nice.
Um my brother, he recently quit drinking, and he's like, yeah, he's like, I was just gonna do it for a month or two, but he's like, I feel so much better now. He's like, I think I'm just done drinking. And I did go cold turkey like for 2 months. That's the longest I have not drinking since I was 21. And I did feel really good. I lost a lot of weight fast.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to my sister's wedding and had a few drinks and a few more and a few more, and I was right off that wagon again.
Oh, man.
But
yeah, I wish alcohol was my problem. I would drop weight too, but
it's that eating part. You can't stop eating.
yeah. So I have the issue, and this is something we're obviously digressing a little bit, but the issue I have is my art and my weight kind of go hand in hand a little bit because you know that what's it, the stress and reward system in my brain, it's like I draw for a while, I get into the zone, there's that point where it's like I'm at flow state, and then once I have to start making some serious decisions about where my art is going, my stress levels rise, and I have to intake some more information, so my stress levels rise a little bit more, and then I have to take a break so that I can bring that deck down. But then I need to have that reward system be like, okay, I need to keep going. So then I end up getting a snack, and that's where I get in trouble. It's the snacks.
Get them Doritos.
Yep.
Yeah. Spicy sweet chili Doritos.
So yeah.
So you got the gummy bears.
Yeah, I'm trying to do this thing where like I do gum and then like I have like a protein snack instead. So like I'm feeling a little bit full, like you know what I mean, and then chug some water, and I don't know. It's kind of going where I want it to go, but
yeah, it ain't easy, man.
No, it is not.
It ain't easy.
It's a challenge.
That's why you need to start smoking. Get that nicotine buzz going. It stimulates your brain. Don't smoke. Don't smoke. How many events a year are you doing now? On average. 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 9.
5 to 7, 7 to 9-ish. Trying to think off the top of my head.
So you're kind of in that 20th percentile between the two of them.
Yeah, I'm somewhere around there. I'd like to. I mean, I use the word I'd like to loosely. I'd like to do more, but at the same time, they are so. It's such a big cost, right? It's tough. It's such a big cost that it's tough to be like, oh, let me do more shows. I want to do bigger shows that cost me even more money. The big one I signed up for this year, and I have to wait to see if I'm kind of waitlist. I think I'm waitlisted. Is Phoenix Fan Fusion. So that'd be my biggest one if I can get into that one this year. Not doing Baltimore this year. I'm taking a break this year from Baltimore, but
yeah, I think Phoenix. I got booked with something else because I'll be down there for that Dallas Fan Expo. It would have been
nice.
A lot easier to just cut over there.
Yeah,
I forget what I'm doing instead. But the other bit is like I have to drive back for. I think it's Heroes in Charlotte. I think that's what I'm doing next.
Oh, nice.
After the Dallas, Houston, when I'm down there.
Yeah.
So I'm like driving to Phoenix and then driving to Charlotte was not. I think that's what it was. Maybe I don't know. I can't be bothered to look at my calendar because every time I do, it stresses me out. Chris says he did 43 last year. That's insane, man.
That's crazy, bro.
That's insane. I think the most I've done is around 30, and it's a lot. But then there's some months where I wish I had one more, Like you get to December and you only got one show.
I I feel like I personally, and maybe this is a tolerance thing, like, I feel like I could handle maybe 2 a month, maybe. That's about it. Beyond that, because it takes me some shows, it takes me, like, a week to recover from, man, I tell you.
Yeah.
I just, like, am just so exhausted from the whole ordeal.
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
If you need a reality check, talk to Chris. I know his story a little bit better than what he can really get into on the chat on here, but
Yeah.
dude was working to the bone, man. If you're on the
Yeah.
road, it'll wear on you, and it'll
Yeah.
wear on those around you when you get back too. Um,
Yeah,
it's a lot,
yep,
but
that's
two a month, I think um that's pretty doable. But that puts you right in that strike. So that's 24 shows a year.
yeah,
That's a lot.
that is a lot, yeah.
And then it's like, then you start talking to people and you're like, oh, you going to this next week? You going to that next week? And you're like, well, I could probably not this year, maybe next year. And then you're like, now I'm doing 40 shows.
Yeah, yeah, no, thank you. That's too much, that's too much.
I
'Cause
missed this comment too.
frozen gummy bears and my whiskey is ice cubes.
Dude,
That's
I got hooked on these candies called was it Sour Boys? It's a YouTuber, Oompaville. He has his own candy brand.
nice.
And they're pretty dang good. I don't normally eat sour candy, but they showed up and because it was like negative whatever,
Yeah.
they were rock hard. Made that mistake. So not quite the whiskey mistake, but yeah.
That's
I'm sorry I cut you off though.
oh, no, you're good. Yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about now.
Derailed. Sorry about
Yep.
that.
Nope. No, you're good. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for me, so the toughest part for me, and this is again another me problem. The toughest part for me is the weekends and my kids. Like it's cool. I mean, it's kind of cool. Like I don't have to worry too much about my wife because my wife comes with me, right?
Right.
But my kids, they're hanging out with their grandparents, and we only have that for so long, right?
Yep.
God bless them for being in their 70s and watching our children for a weekend, being as nutsy as our children are. I know it's not easy because I deal with them every day. But I mean, I love them monsters. But but yeah, that actually weighs on me pretty heavily when I'm away from them. I would love to get to a point where I could bring the whole family on shows, but then we're getting into now these weekends become even more expensive, and you know what I mean. My littlest one, she's not anywhere near ready for that yet. She's probably got at least 4 years before 3 years, 4 years until she's ready to be like behaved enough that I don't have to worry about her running around and getting lost in a crowd. But my oldest, like he's pretty laid back. He's pretty cool. He'll like sit there, hang out, and play video games on a tablet or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what's tough for me is being away from my kids for so long. So yeah, 24 is a lot. I can't even imagine 43.
Nah, and it's and some of the guys that are in the chat, I'm sure you've had this where people will come up and they'll ask you, or they'll talk to you about like, I'm thinking about being an artist. I'm thinking about doing this. I think I just need to quit my job and do this full time.
Yeah.
Like it's already too late for this year. Like shows are pretty much done booked up.
Yeah, dude.
It has gotten so competitive out there. And that's one of the comments that Inkwell makes at the beginning of this is that it has become incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, we might not be directly trying to compete with each other, but as far as getting in the door and having the best display and the best merch you could possibly have, it's tough.
Yep.
It is a big financial investment. And I was very fortunate that I had a year COVID lockdown that I could reinvest my money that there wasn't anything else to do. So I'm like, I'm just going to start getting ready. And if shows open up, this is what I want to do full time.
Yeah.
And thankfully there was such a vacuum of people that got out of the business, I could sign up for any show I wanted. Worked out pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And
Um,
once you're in the door, you're in the door, right?
now
Those
though,
just
good
you're
luck.
renewed. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? And it's funny. It's funny. I'm wondering if we're gonna see a lot more shows doing kind of like a lottery system.
God, I hope not.
Because there's so well, there's so many shows, and maybe this is just the shows I go to in my area. Like I'm starting to see the same people over, and I mean me included. I mean, I've been to the same shows every year. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how many times do you want the same people at your shows? Um, so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how the next couple years go and whatever. Maybe I mean maybe people will stop going to exhibiting at shows because this whole AI thing. Who knows? Who only
Yeah,
knows?
I know there's been some people that are getting discouraged about it, but I think at least in the circle that I run with, we're making just as much money and in some cases even more money than before the AI boom. There's so
Yeah,
many people that appreciate art and come to the booth and are like, "No, I'm sick of the AI stuff. I want to buy real art from real people that I can come here and talk to."
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think you're onto something with that comment though about um, there's a lot of artists out there that you see time and time again at the same shows, and they're doing the same stuff that they were doing 3-4 years ago.
hmm,
That's why this year, like my off month, I was cranking out all kinds of new stuff.
nice.
And Chris called me out here, peacocking like a mofo. Uh, yeah, that was one of the things I reinvested in. Was I wasn't a huge fan of the tripods I was using for the backdrop. They were tall, but kind of finicky. And over time, they would start to bend, and then you'd have this like weird lean to your set, and it just never looked totally professional.
Yeah,
Um, I'm about to buy a couple more uprights, but those pipe and drape things that I got, those are fantastic. Um,
yeah, looks nice.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh yeah, no, I got you, brother. um, no, my idea, I think I told you at Columbus was I want to get it so I could box in the whole booth, and then up at the top do like billboards so people can see it down the aisles. Um,
Hmm.
maybe after tax season, we'll see how we're doing. I think I would like to have that by Denver this year, but um, the big thing is, will the tables fit in between? Okay, and yeah, we'll see. I want to do it. I kind of need to buy extra ones anyways for when I start doing the double booths.
Yeah,
So we'll see. We'll see.
yeah. Never apply for Steel City. You'll never be able to set up there.
It's funny, man, because like the first couple years I had applied to it, waitlisted every time.
Yeah,
And these last few shows, they've actually hit me up being like, "Hey, we got this, we got that." I'm like, "Dude, I'm already booked. Like I'm doing Galaxy Cons or I'm doing whatever." And
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have a lot to unpack about Steel City. I'm still doing Steel City, but I this might be my last Steel City. We'll see how it goes. Um,
Yeah, that
I don't
artist
think
alley is tight, man.
the art alley is tight. We're packed in like sardines. It actually doesn't even make sense that we're packed in like sardines because there's tons of open space where there doesn't really need to be open space.
Yeah.
And yeah, the ceiling is obviously an issue. There's a max if you're unless you're an exhibitor. Uh, yeah, you only get about a foot and a half by the table. Dude,
That ain't much.
I had enough room for my body and the chair, but I couldn't move the chair out or I was hitting the guy behind me because I had my banner and stuff too behind me.
Yeah.
And I mean, the guy behind me was kind of screwing me over because he was sitting out of his table. So I couldn't get out of my table. I actually pulled a muscle in my leg trying to get out of my chair.
Oh, jeez.
I just ended up not sitting for most of the weekend. I was standing up by my booth, and just, like, kinda kneeling on my chair. But, yeah, dude, it was awful, like, sardines, man,
It's rough,
and
man.
they're always like, "Oh, man, we're really sorry, there's not much we could do about this is just how it is," and it's just like, but doesn't seem like it needs to be that way. The guy next to me had space to get out of his table, like 3 feet of space to get out of his table at least. I had this much space to get out of my table, and my butt kept hitting my my display every time I tried to get out.
Well, and the hardest part about Artist Alley is, God forbid you get there after your neighbors have already moved in
Yeah.
and they've pushed tables this way or that way just a little
Yeah.
bit.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, there's always a lot of like little finagling that goes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't say who the artist was. I had to laugh when I looked at his picture. He was at New Orleans Fan Expo.
Hmm.
And some shows they make a big deal about the tape on the floor.
Yeah.
And I could see underneath his table skirt that he was way over the lines.
Oh
And he
wow.
was an Artist Alley, and I'm like, hey, go for it, brother. If they're
Yeah.
not gonna
That's
stop
great.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I won't talk. I mean, it's an okay show. They have some really good guests at the show, so I won't talk too much about it. But we'll do a unpack video after this next upcoming show and see if they changed anything.
When is the next one?
April, I think. Yeah,
April. I don't think they're gonna change anything as far as layout.
No,
But your experience, who
yeah,
knows? But if you
yeah,
got some sets of prints, man, like that'd be an interesting one to get feedback on. Like if you've got a couple sets that you're doing.
yeah.
Um, let's do a couple more questions before we call it a night here. Do you sell fan art?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Most people do.
Yes.
There is an interesting avenue that I'm playing around more with coming into this year, is the public domain stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm not trying to chase the characters like Winnie the Pooh and Mickey Mouse and that sort of thing. Like that's not my bag. But like going into like the fantasy stuff that like no one has ever owned a trademark to. Um, I used to do a lot more of that, like medieval knights, like monsters, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
That's part of like with even with like doing these cards is using stuff that no one can sue me over because it's either my own IP or it's creatures and monsters that exist in public
Right.
domain.
Right.
It's almost not even public domain. It's like just the ether of existence, like elves and stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's technically public domain, but
Yeah.
it never had to enter public domain. It was already always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there are some people that really get bent out of shape over the whole fan art thing.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Especially um Chris could probably tell you about one guy. We'll leave him nameless unless Chris chooses to name him, which there's no pressure to. Um, big
Do it.
name comic book artist that was just crapping all over print artists
Oh,
at a show. It was before the show really started, and the guy had made several comments about, we're the reason these guys are even here. Just a lot of egos coming in.
yeah.
Surprise, surprise. um, but even among artists that are all kind of working on the same level, like I've been buddies with some that like they pride themselves on not doing fan art, and they don't necessarily look down on other people, but they do think, and in a way I think they're absolutely correct, like if you can pull the numbers that you're pulling with your own unique creations, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a completely different feeling for sure. There's a level of joy and satisfaction you get from just selling something that, you created, but it's somebody else's actual creation, right? Versus the level of satisfaction you get for something that you spent the time creating from absolute scratch, telling the story, doing all sort of stuff. There's this is a completely different level of satisfaction you get from that.
Yeah.
It's almost, I could probably I could it's probably like, taking a hit of your favorite, whatever, but you know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? Like, I personally have not sold anything like that yet. I'm still technically fan art category, but yeah, I think if I can get out of fan art, I will. As soon as I can, I will.
Yeah, well, it's difficult. What a lot of folks don't think about is that the fan art is almost like playing cover songs at a country bar in Nashville. Like you're playing familiar tunes so people know what you sound like so they can pick you
Right.
up to give you work.
Right.
Everyone knows what Spider-Man's supposed to look like. They know what a unique take on Spider-Man's going to look like because they'll see it.
Yep.
And if they like your style, they like what you're doing, then that's how you get work. If it's a bunch of your own creations, people will then say, well, I want to see your style with this character. So you're going to end up doing it anyways.
Yeah.
If
Right.
that's the kind of work you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I think it boils down to like, what do you really want to be doing? Like if you want to do your own thing and carve your own way, then yeah, do your own stuff. But the fan art thing, I'm glad there's less companies that are cracking down on IPs.
Yeah.
They're seeing the value and the secondary market with this stuff. And then also like hiring people from there. Let's see.
Yeah, that happens a lot more often than you would think too. At some of these bigger shows. Even Inkwell talks about it in one of the videos. Is they had a guy going around doing cease and desists for a certain company, like it was like Viz Media or something.
Yeah.
And then the next day, the art director guy was walking around Artist Alley and like offering people work. So you know what I mean? It was like, oh, you slapped my hand and now you want me to work for you.
I know a guy that does that.
All right.
That's he says the biggest problem he has is in Orlando at MegaCon and then other conventions that they do in Florida.
Oh, I think
Mainly,
that was the exact convention he was talking about.
yeah.
That's funny.
There's a lot of folks that want to go full time with like Disney, Marvel, that sort of thing, that end up working for the parks down there,
Mhm.
and they'll wear their Disney gear behind the table. So they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm a Disney artist." It's like, well, you work for Disney, but you work for Disney pushing a broom,
Yeah.
and you're trying to be a full time artist. But I actually went to funny quick story. I was like 18 or 19. My brother was going to Kent State. He's like, "Hey, Steve, they're doing a portfolio review for Disney. You should bring your stuff and go get it checked out." I'm like, "Okay, I don't really want to work for Disney, but
Sure.
portfolio review might be neat. Who knows? They might have." This is long before they bought Marvel.
Yeah.
But I had to like talk to my boss and figure something out because I was working second shift. So I was going to have to take like 2 hours out of work to go drive, get the portfolio review, and then work 2 hours later that night.
Ugh.
So I wasn't super stoked about that. But I drive all the way out there. I go with my portfolio, sit in this room. There's 20, 30 other people my age. Call it anywhere from like 18 to 25. And they launch into this thing where they're talking about the parks program and talking about how it's like an internship where you go and you work in the parks, anything from like janitor to someone in costume to like operating rides. And that's it. And we get all the way to the end. I'm like, where was the artist part?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, my brother was mistaken. It wasn't a portfolio review. Someone was there from Disney, but it was all for the parks program.
Oh, that sucks.
So I took a couple. I was glad he was looking out for me, but like, it
Yeah.
was a couple hours out of my life I'll never get back.
Yeah, that sucks, man. Then you had to work late that
Yeah.
day and you're like,
Yep.
yeah,
It,
you.
it wasn't great. It
That
wasn't great.
sucks, bro. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, here's a question we'll end on. Because I do get asked this from time to time from different artists about the NSFW stuff. Do you sell it? Number one, here's my number one comment is that most of the stuff that you'll buy at a Comic Con is probably not stuff that you would take to work anyways.
That's sort of true. Does depend on where you work, but
Yeah, but like the vast majority of places that you're going to go to, are you going to hang up a Wolverine poster or a Gambit poster?
yeah.
Maybe you've
Maybe.
got a workstation that they are. You going to hang up a Gambit and Rogue picture?
Yeah.
As soon as you put a female in there, it gets complicated.
Yeah.
Because there's nary a superhero lady that isn't wearing
That's true.
drawn on clothes, right?
True. Yeah.
Or you go the other direction. I suppose there are plenty of workplaces that do this where, like, are you going to buy a Sonic the Hedgehog plushie and put it at your table, your desk? I'm sure some people would.
Yeah.
My
son would.
Yeah.
He loves Sonic.
There you go. What are your thoughts? And you're not going to offend me one way or the other. What are your thoughts on selling NSFW stuff at a convention?
Nah, I'm kind of anti it unless it's. I'm seeing shows now that have like an NSFW area, which you can enter and be in, which I think that's great. I mean, if it's something that you're into and you want to get into that scene, whatever. I personally will probably never do NSFW, because there's this weird threshold where I feel like you start doing that and you're like selling your soul. I think it's easy money. Don't get me wrong. I think it's easy money. There's so many people out there willing to be like, hand over fist, man. Draw me some, girl parts, and yeah, dude, I'm in. I just, it's not for me. I don't think. I will draw things very sexualized to the point where it could be NSFW, sort of.
I think it's technically NSFW.
Yeah,
because who's gonna hang? Like I said, like a picture of Rogue, or I'm like just looking around to see if I got like no, that would definitely not be safe for work. Like Rogue or Storm. Like, have you? It's very rare that they get drawn in a way that'd be most workplaces would be like, that's totally fine.
Yeah, dude, I drew an anime girl in underwear and I got flagged on TikTok for being explicit content. I was like, what is going on? She's
on TikTok,
underwear on, like
they've got like legit girls in their underwear on TikTok.
Yeah, right. I mean, I appealed it and they accepted my appeal, but I was still like, dude, wow, I can't even believe I got like. I mean, I'm actually really proud of myself that the piece was that good that it got flagged. But like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's funny. It's funny, dude. Like, I tried running an ad for when I first completed that Alice in Wonderland set that I did.
Oh, nice.
And because I'm like, this is like, it's all public domain.
Yeah.
I could direct people to the site or whatever, and it got shot down multiple times for being too racy or for like sexualized material. I'm like,
yeah,
I get suggested accounts all the time of actual girls especially now with AI. Holy Moses. I can't look at Instagram without fake AI girls bouncing all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm working too hard, man. I just need to make AI OnlyFans and run some chat bots to run it and just make bank, man.
Dude, there is a market for that, and I'll take it even deeper than that. There is a VR market now where like people will pay you just like they would pay, SA worker or a S worker, whatever you want to call it. You and it's all virtual. Nothing is actually happening. It's all virtual, but you get paid to do things. And there's like guys with girl avatars pretending to be girls. It's weird, man. I
feel like that's half the VTubers out there, the ones that are doing like the body replacements.
Yeah, dude, it's an interesting time we live in, man. I will say that.
I mean, to each their own with that whole thing.
Yeah, dude. Ooh,
here's my comment on the NSFW thing. Is number one is I think there's way more people that are making content that technically would fall on that you couldn't hang that up at work if you wanted to.
Yes.
Even if it's one print in the bunch.
If you're taking it, if you're taking that term literally, yeah.
Yeah. No, dude, if I'm in a meeting and that picture comes up on the projector,
yeah, right.
Like I'm getting a write up, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, in my opinion, that is not a safe image. Like if one of my Ninja Turtles goes up on the screen, we're gonna have a fun conversation for a few minutes, right? Oh, did you draw? Right. Oh, that's amazing. That's great. Right. If Jessica Rabbit goes up there, people are like,
Yep. Yeah, it's a different story. Yep.
Canceled. No, every now and then, it's funny, like, once I did any amount of pin I had, like, the one pin up. It was a Little Mermaid, like, punk rock princess that I had done. It, like, kicked the door open for me. It got me my first comic book cover deal, and then it was like, "Oh, are you gonna do Beauty and the Beast? Are you gonna do this? Are you gonna do that? Gonna
Mhm.
do Alice?" Um, number one, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was gonna be. I thought I was gonna get canceled for life. I thought there were gonna be people angry that I was drawing girls. Um, I've only had 2 people say anything, like, negative to me in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
3 years. I think it's 3 years since I started doing any amount of pinup. Um, it's mostly been positive, but I'll get from time to time, I'll get an artist that comes over and like, "Hey, those the girls sell for you? Do they do pretty good?" I'm like, "Dude, draw what you want to draw, man."
Yeah.
The reality of it is it's polarizing. There might be people that they see the Ninja Turtles or they see the horror stuff like, "Wow, that's amazing," and then they look over at the girls and like, "I don't want to be seen at the guy his booth that has all the girls at it,"
Yeah.
and then they turn and walk away.
Mhm.
Um, so it's not for everybody.
Right.
Um, there are ways to be more tasteful. I try to stay on the more tasteful side of things. Push the line on that from time to time. But yeah, it's I don't know. I if they put me in an 18 and over section at a show, I would feel like it's not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, for you, unless you were only bringing your extreme NSFW stuff,
That's the thing is I don't do extreme.
which
It's
right,
like
you don't yeah, your stuff's really, it's on the line. It's, a a lot of our girls we draw where it's like, close to the line. It's not really on the line. It's not over the
no,
line. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, they're just in suggestive poses. It's not really like, oh my god, her boobies hanging out, or you know what I mean?
right.
Like it's none of the stuff we draw
You
is
don't have
like
to put
that. But
post-its over anything.
what's that?
You don't have to put post-it notes to cover up
Right,
stuff, right?
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I feel like that. I mean, if we ever were in an NSFW area, it would hurt us for sure. But yeah, like that,
Yeah.
you would have to be if you were in an NSF area of a con, you would have to be like only strictly doing NSFW. Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth it because you're just
Yeah.
missing out on an entire market, right?
Yeah, and that's the what I tell anybody that asks me. It's like if you do pinup stuff and you tell people what your limits are, that you don't do nudity or you don't do
Yeah,
that kind of um, people know where you stand. But as
yeah,
soon as you start doing any amount of nudity, people want to know how far, how deep the rabbit hole goes.
yeah,
Like
yeah. And
they
and if
want
you're
to.
and if you're really good at it, you get typecast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, look at like J. Scott Campbell. I mean, that dude, he got really known for his work on Danger Girls,
Mhm.
and then he went to go work for Marvel, and next thing you know, he's penciling Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Um, now, granted, he got into all kinds of trouble there, and people trying to cancel him for drawing Mary Jane. Um, but that guy's now one of the most collected artists in the business. He is one of the most referenced artists. As soon as people say like, "Who are your influences?" And people might say, "Oh, Silvestri, McFarlane." When it comes to girls, more like good J. Scott Campbell. You
Yeah.
know?
Right. Yeah.
And there's a reason for it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so I don't know. There's trade-offs to everything.
Mhm.
You can draw, do whatever you want. You can be a full-time artist. You can be a part-time artist. There's all the things that you can do. Friends, at the end of the day, it boils down to what do you want to do and what is holding you back from doing it. I recently said to a buddy, uh, he was talking about stuff he wanted to do. I want to work on this project. I want to do that project. And he's been telling me about a lot of stuff that he wants to do. Has he done it? Has he done any of it? And I said, "Are you wishing you would do that or do you want to do that?" And he stopped and he's like, "Bro, I really needed to hear that." He's like, "That was the simplest sentence I think I've ever heard you say because you tend to ramble." I said, "I know." Um, but
So true.
I'm like, but he's like, "It's true." It's like, I think I've actually just been wishing it would happen.
Yeah.
I've just been wishing something would come along and it would fall in my lap and there I would go. Um,
Yeah.
the reality of it is If you want to do it, there's a list of things holding you back from actually doing it. Make that physical list. Don't write itself off as it's me holding me back. No, there's a list of tangible things you can do. I'm not saying this to you, James. I'm saying this to my general audience out there.
Yes.
Well, and this goes for both of us too, right?
Yeah.
And I actually wrote on my desk here the other day, like the 3 things that I want to accomplish. And I'm currently working on lists for those 3 things on how I get to the point where I am doing those 3 things.
Heck yeah, bro.
So, at any rate, any closing notes, any closing thoughts?
Oh man, we summed it up. We did a good job.
We figured it out.
I
like it. I like it. Well,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm with you, man. Make it happen. Social media is not this magic thing where someone's just going to discover you. I mean, sometimes it happens. It likely will not. So, yeah, make it happen. If you want to work in comics, and you want to work on someone else's comic, send some emails. You want to work in comics and you want to do covers, look for people who are looking for covers, make it happen. Ask them, make it happen in a way that makes sense that you'll get more, or, you know what I mean? Or whatever. You have work you need to do, knock it out, dude. Find some time, man. I've been, grinding my gears this last couple weeks. Not only have I been doing my art studies, I've been working out, I've been doing sketch cards, and I've been co-writing with my wife. So on my next book. So, you know what I mean? We got a lot going on. Plus I work my full-time job and take care of my kids. So there's no excuses. There really isn't any excuses that you can make unless you're sick or dying, which, hope not.
Yeah,
it's not the case.
there's realistic things that can hold you back from doing stuff. And the cold hard reality is, for some people, the things that they want to do, it could be one of those things that is just not going to be their luck. It's just not going to be their time. There's a lot of people that try to make it in a band and they just never make it.
Yeah,
that was me. Right. That being said, there's something you want to do. The only way you're going to find out is if you go do those things.
Right.
And to close this evening, Chris, he's going to go watch They Live.
I don't even know what that is. Right on, man.
I've never seen it, but sometimes it's as easy as that. If you want to go on vacation someplace where you can put toes in the sand, what's holding you back?
Yeah.
That's probably going to be my message next week. So it'll be the last weekend, or last Wednesday, I should say, of January. And I know there's a lot of people that are already starting to beat themselves up about their New Year's resolutions. I think next Wednesday is going to be a motivational pep talk on this subject.
Awesome.
And then whatever happens in Philly. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. James, thanks for being here. Folks in the chat, Ben, Flower, Chris. Who else am I forgetting? I can't scroll fast enough. Guys, thanks for all hanging out. Ben, thank you all for hanging out tonight.
Yes,
be safe. We'll see you down the road. And we'll see you next Wednesday on Art House Live. We'll see you guys.
Peace.